Well, look, absolutely. I think there is genuinely a sense of optimism for the first time in 2 years. I guess the issue, Joel, is that for hostage families, it's almost bittersweet because they don't know if their loved ones are coming back dead or alive.
Well, that's right, and also the condition of the living hostages is not well known either. And we do know that they've been starved over the past 2 years. They've been, completely, lacking any type of natural light. They've been hiding underground in tunnels, chained, completely locked off from any type of services such as the Red Crescent or the Red Cross. So I have no doubt that over the next couple of days, Hamas will be feeding the hostages to give them some unfortunate, well-needed meat on their bones before they're released. But you're right, the torture of the families hasn't ceased yet and won't cease until their loved ones are back. But the overall elation of the nation, who needs to be whole again by bringing back every single soul that was taken on that fateful day nearly 2 years ago. But we need to then transition our focus from happiness and elation to the practical issues that we still have within the implementation in full of the Trump peace plan, which includes the other phases of the deal, notably the demilitarization of Hamas and the installation of a new technocratic government, which does not include Hamas. So these are very, very big issues yet to be ironed out and yet to be agreed upon. So Israel will have to transition quickly from very huge elation and happiness to keenly focused on what the day after in Gaza is actually going to look like.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you, because obviously this is phase one. You just mentioned what the other phases do look like. This is not something that is going to happen overnight. How long will it take to actually implement this plan in full, do you think?
Well, I don't know the answer to that, but what I do know is that the precedent has been set that if you want to set a timetable to do things, if you want Hamas to do things that they don't want to do, it requires united isolation and pressure from the international community to back it into a corner, treat it like the terrorist death cult that it is, and force it with the leverage that you have to do what needs to be done. That is the only reason now, after 2 very, very long years, that we've got to this juncture, because finally the world, led by President Trump and the Arab countries along with Turkey, decided that Hamas was going to be its focus, to isolate it and to force it to release the hostages and hopefully relinquish control to provide the population in Gaza with a bright future. So realistically, Danica, it's not just on Hamas as to what it chooses to do in phase 2 and phase 3, but it's up to the international community, including Australia, to continue the focus on isolating Hamas. Now, Australia has said Hamas can have no role in the future governance of Gaza. So what happens in 6 months' time if they maybe decide to demilitarize, which I think is a long shot as well, but if they do, but then want to have some type of role in the future government, is our government, France, the UK, Canada, going to roll over like they did with their preconditions for unilateral statehood? They rolled on those conditions. They did not maintain those conditions before recognition. They went about recognizing before those conditions were met. My concern is that perceived weakness of the West, including countries in Australia, will continue and not hold up their end of the bargain to ensure that Hamas has no role in the future governance of Gaza.
Yeah, look, I mean, you raise a really good point. I guess there are so many unknowns and it does rely on countries around the world coming together on this. But look, no doubt Monday and Tuesday when those hostages are released, that it's just going to be a real incredible moment, and we just hope that everything goes to plan. Joel, Burnie, good to see you as always. Thank you very much for joining me on the show. Appreciate it.